There is a deep truth hidden in the way life unfolds. Nothing comes to us before we are ready to meet it. Carl Jung once observed that people don't really see the world as it is, they see it as they are. In other words, the moment you are prepared inwardly, life begins to reflect it outwardly. That's why opportunities arrive at the exact moment you've grown into the person who can handle them. The waiting, the struggles, the silence, none of it is random. They are the shaping forces that make you ready. Because destiny does not meet you at your wish, it meets you at your level of growth. Imagine for a moment that life is not random, that every twist, every turn, every encounter, even the silence you've endured has meaning. The truth is, timing is not just about minutes on a clock. It is about alignment between who you are becoming and what you are meant to carry. Nothing significant ever arrives in your life before you're ready to hold it. Because if it did, it would crush you instead of lift you. That is why we spend years questioning, doubting, asking why doors close, why opportunities slip away, why things take so long. But in those moments, we fail to realize that the universe is not withholding. It is preparing. It is waiting for the version of you who has the strength, the awareness, the humility, and the maturity to carry the blessing without losing yourself in it. Think about a seed buried in the ground. At first glance, it looks like death. It's hidden beneath soil. It's surrounded by darkness. There's no sign of movement, no sign of life. But underneath that soil, something profound is happening. Roots are forming, foundations are strengthening, and the seed is learning how to survive. Only when it's strong enough to break through does it rise into the light. In the same way, the blessings of life are buried in timing. They don't show up because you want them. They show up because you're finally strong enough to carry them without breaking under the weight. There's a rhythm that governs life. Call it divine timing, call it destiny, but it is precise. Look back on your life and notice how certain people showed up just when you needed them. How certain opportunities appeared only when you were finally ready to step into them. You may have thought you were prepared years ago, but had those doors opened too soon, you would not have had the wisdom or the stability to sustain them. Timing is protection as much as it is blessing. When something doesn't arrive when you want it, it isn't rejection. It's divine alignment saying, "Not yet," because you are still in the process of becoming. We live in a culture that worships speed. Everything must be instant, everything must happen now. But the deeper layers of life cannot be rushed. You cannot microwave wisdom. You cannot force maturity. You cannot demand patience and expect it to appear. These qualities are forged slowly, in silence, in waiting, in seasons where it feels like nothing is happening. And yet, everything is happening. You are being stretched, tested, refined. The delays are not empty. They are the shaping of your soul. When you understand this, frustration turns into trust. Instead of asking, "Why not me? Why not now?" you begin to ask, "What is this season teaching me? What strength is being built in me right now?" And in that shift, you find peace, because suddenly you realize that what is yours will not miss you. What is meant for you cannot be stolen, delayed forever, or lost. It can only arrive when you are truly ready to receive it. There is also a responsibility that comes with divine timing. If blessings arrived before you were equipped, they could become curses. Imagine someone receiving power without discipline, wealth without wisdom, love without maturity. What looks like a gift too soon becomes the very thing that destroys them. That is why you are held back until the lesson has been absorbed, until the roots are deep enough, until you can step into the moment without it breaking you. Timing is God's way of protecting you from yourself, from your own impatience, from your own unpreparedness. The beauty of this is that when the right time finally comes, there is no struggle, no chasing, no forcing. Doors open effortlessly. The weight you thought would crush you now fits perfectly on your shoulders. The opportunities you once begged for now feel like they were designed for you. You stand in the flow of life, not fighting against it, and everything aligns in a way that feels almost supernatural. That is not coincidence. That is the power of readiness. So if you find yourself waiting, if you feel hidden, if it seems like your time hasn't come yet, understand that this is not punishment. This is preparation. Just as the seed must remain buried until it is strong enough to rise, you too must embrace the hidden seasons, the silent moments, the delays that shape you into someone who can carry the weight of what is coming. Because when God knows you are ready, when the universe sees that you have become who you need to be, nothing can stop what is meant for you. And when that moment comes, you will realize it didn't arrive too early or too late. It arrived precisely on time. What most people call waiting is in fact the most sacred part of the journey. We treat it as wasted time, as though life is standing still, but in reality, waiting is the quiet workshop where character is built. It is the forge where unseen fires shape us into someone who can handle the weight of what is coming. We complain about delays. We grow restless when results don't arrive fast enough. But what we don't see is that every moment of silence, every unanswered prayer, every season of stillness is filled with hidden preparation. It is in those spaces where nothing seems to move that the deepest movements are taking place. Think of the times you felt overlooked, as though life passed you by while others received their opportunities. You saw their progress, their success, and wondered why your time hadn't come. But those moments were not abandonment. They were sharpening you, chiseling away what was unnecessary, strengthening the foundation within you. You weren't being denied, you were being refined. And what refinement means is that the raw material of who you are had to be purified before it could be revealed. Without that process, what you are given would slip through your hands. Preparation is not glamorous. It doesn't come with applause or recognition. It often feels like invisibility. But that invisibility is protection. If you were exposed too early, if the world saw you before you were ready, the very thing you prayed for would have consumed you. Waiting is the season when your inner life is brought into alignment with the outer blessing that is on its way. Without the waiting, without the quiet seasons of becoming, you would not be able to hold what is meant for you. Look at the way storms teach trees to grow stronger roots. Without the pressure of the wind, the roots would stay shallow. But it is in resistance, in unseen struggle beneath the surface, that they anchor themselves deeper. The same is true for you. The struggles you endure in hidden preparation may not be visible to others, but they are anchoring you in resilience. They are making you unshakable. So when the opportunity finally comes, when the blessing finally arrives, you are not fragile, you are steady. Waiting seasons are also mirrors. They force you to see yourself clearly. Without the noise of constant movement, you come face to face with your fears, your doubts, your weaknesses. And though it is uncomfortable, it is necessary. Because only when you have met those parts of yourself can you transform them. Hidden preparation is not about polishing the image you show the world. It is about healing the unseen fractures, strengthening the parts of you that nobody claps for, nobody sees, but that determine whether you rise or fall when your moment comes. Many people waste the waiting season. They fill it with distraction, with impatience, with resentment. They see it as a punishment rather than an invitation. But those who understand its purpose treat waiting as training. They use it to sharpen their mind, to deepen their spirit, to prepare in silence for what will one day require their voice. When you treat waiting as preparation, you no longer waste energy asking when. Instead, you focus on becoming. Because you know that once you become the person capable of carrying the blessing has no choice but to arrive. Think of every master, every leader, every individual who has made an impact. None of them bypassed hidden preparation. They endured seasons where no one clapped, where no one saw, where their efforts were unnoticed. Yet those seasons were the soil of their greatness. They didn't despise the waiting, they allowed it to form them. And because of that, when their time came, they were not only ready for the stage, They were anchored enough to remain on it. So don't despise your quiet season. Don't mistake silence for absence. What feels like stillness is activity in disguise. You are being sharpened in ways you cannot see. You are being tested in patience, in faith, in perseverance. All of it is training, all of it is preparation, and when the time finally arrives, when the door swings open, you will realize that the waiting wasn't a delay. It was the exact process that shaped you into the person who could walk through that door and never turn back. When you understand this truth, you no longer rush, you no longer chase, you no longer force. You embrace the silence as part of the song, knowing that every note of waiting plays its role in the music of your life. Because when the preparation is complete, when you are fully formed, nothing and no one can stop what is meant for you from arriving. So many people spend their lives pushing against locked doors, trying to force outcomes, trying to bend life to their will, and in the process, they exhaust themselves. They fight battles that were never theirs to fight. They chase after what was never designed for them. And the more they push, the more they resist, the more frustrated they become, because no amount of force can open a door that wasn't meant for you. That's why there is a difference between ambition and alignment. Ambition says, I will make this happen by any means necessary. Alignment says, if it's for me, it will find me, and if it's not, I release it. One leads to endless exhaustion, the other leads to peace. Faith is not about passively waiting for life to hand you everything. Faith is about doing your part, giving your best, but also trusting that there is a greater order at work beyond your control. It's about moving forward without gripping so tightly to outcomes that you forget to live. When you operate from faith instead of force, you stop trying to control every detail and you start trusting the process. And trust me, life unfolds more gracefully when you stop strangling it with fear and impatience. Think about the times you tried to make something work that clearly wasn't for you. Maybe it was a relationship, a career, an opportunity. Deep down you knew it didn't fit, but you pushed anyway. You convinced yourself that with enough effort, you could hold it together. But what happened? The harder you forced it, the more it slipped through your fingers. And when it finally broke apart, you were left drained, questioning why it didn't work. Yet looking back, you realize that forcing what isn't yours only delayed what was truly meant for you. Because what is for you does not require begging, convincing, or manipulation. It flows naturally because it is aligned with your path. There is a deep wisdom in surrender. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is choosing to trust. It is the willingness to say, I will give my best. I will take the steps I can, but I will not fight to keep what life is trying to remove. I will not cling to doors that have been closed. That is not weakness. It is strength. Because it takes courage to release control, to admit that you don't always know what is best for you. It takes strength to believe that even when something slips away, something greater is being prepared. When you choose faith over force, you live with open hands, and open hands can receive. Closed fists, clinging, grasping, they only create tension. But open hands say, I trust that what is mine will come and what is not will leave. That posture brings peace, because suddenly you are no longer chasing what isn't yours. You are no longer spending sleepless nights trying to hold together something that is falling apart. Instead, you begin to walk in the rhythm of life, and that rhythm feels effortless compared to the struggle of forcing outcomes. There is a natural flow that governs existence. When you're in it, doors open without resistance. Opportunities find you without strain. The right people enter your life at the right moment. This doesn't mean you won't work hard. It means your work will feel meaningful instead of draining, purposeful instead of desperate. You'll know you're aligned because what once felt like a constant uphill battle now feels like a path unfolding before you. Faith also frees you from comparison. Because when you force, you measure yourself against others, trying to keep up, trying to prove something, trying to match their pace. But when you trust, You realize your story is not theirs. Your timing is not theirs. And you stop living in the anxiety of trying to keep up with someone else's journey. You begin to walk at the pace that belongs to you. If there's one thing life has shown again and again, it's that you cannot hold on to what is not yours, and you cannot lose what is meant for you. Forcing life only leaves you empty. Trusting life allows you to receive what belongs to you without resistance. And so, the question becomes, do you want to spend your days exhausted from pushing, or do you want to live in peace by trusting that the right doors will open when the time is right? Because the truth is, the moment you stop forcing and start trusting, life begins to flow in ways you never imagined possible. Before any true elevation, there is always a test. It may not come in the form of an exam with questions and answers, but it comes in life's circumstances, through challenges that stretch you, through obstacles that demand more than you think you have, through situations that seem designed to break you down. And it is in these moments that life asks, are you ready for what you've been asking for? Because blessings don't simply fall without weight. Every gift carries responsibility. Every opportunity carries demand. And if you cannot withstand the test, then you cannot hold the blessing. People often confuse difficulty with punishment, but that is not what the test is. The test is preparation disguised as struggle, the storm before the breakthrough, the refining fire before the gold shines. Just as a muscle cannot grow without resistance, the soul cannot mature without trial. Without the test, you would not value the blessing when it arrives. Without the hardship, you would not have the strength to sustain it. The blessing without the preparation becomes a burden, and so life ensures you are tested before you are trusted. Think of the times you faced disappointment so heavy that you wondered if you would rise again. You prayed for strength, and instead of instant relief, you were given situations that forced you to develop it. You prayed for patience, and instead of immediate peace, you were given delays that stretched you until you learned to surrender. You prayed for wisdom, and instead of easy answers, you were given problems that demanded deeper thinking. That was the test at work. Not to punish you, not to push you away, but to build the qualities you would need once your blessing arrived. Every elevation requires a shedding. The test strips away what cannot go with you into the next season. Old habits, old fears, old attachments, they must fall away. And the test is the tool that removes them. That's why it feels uncomfortable, why it feels like you're being stretched past your limit. Because in truth, you are. You cannot step into a new level carrying the weight of your old self. And so the test is designed to break what must break, so that you can rise lighter, stronger, freer, and ready. Tests also reveal the truth of your foundation. It is easy to claim faith when everything is going well, but what about when life strips away your comfort? Do you still trust when nothing makes sense? Do you still believe when the evidence disappears? The test uncovers whether your faith is shallow or deep, whether your resilience is surface or rooted. And though it hurts, it is necessary, because if your foundation is weak, the blessing could collapse it. But if your foundation is strong, then the blessing will only elevate you further. It is also important to understand that the test doesn't arrive once. It arrives repeatedly at each stage of growth. Every new level comes with new challenges. Every blessing requires you to prove, not to others, but to yourself, that you can handle more. The test is the checkpoint of growth. Without it, you would move ahead too soon, and too soon is dangerous. That's why life doesn't skip steps. You are only elevated after you pass through the fire and emerge shaped by it. If you think about every great story, every meaningful journey, there is always a test before the triumph. The hero is always tested before the victory. And your life is no different. Your struggles are not meaningless. They are the very things preparing you for the stage you are meant to stand on. Without them, you would not carry the wisdom, the humility, or the strength required to remain when the blessing finally arrives. So the next time you feel tested, The next time life seems heavier than you can bear, shift your perspective. Ask not, why me? But, what is this preparing me for? Because the truth is, the greater the blessing, the greater the test. And if you are facing something overwhelming right now, it is not a sign that you are being punished. It is a sign that you are being prepared. Because the test is not the end of the story. It is the proof that the blessing is on its way. You can always tell when a person is entering a new chapter of their life, because the storms that once had the power to break them no longer move them in the same way. The same chaos that used to shake their spirit, the same challenges that used to throw them into despair, suddenly lose their grip. It's not because the storms disappeared, it's because the person transformed. Readiness doesn't come from waiting for life to become easier. It comes from becoming someone who has learned how to walk through difficulty with resilience, clarity, and strength. That's how you know you are ready for what's coming next. There was a time when rejection left you shattered, when silence made you doubt yourself, when a setback made you feel as though your entire future had been stolen. But over time, something changed. You started to realize that rejection was not the end. It was redirection. You started to understand that silence wasn't absence. It was space for growth. And you began to see that setbacks weren't curses. They were shaping you in ways you couldn't yet see. That shift in perception, that change in how you respond to life, is the first sign that you are stepping into readiness. Readiness is not about perfection. It is not about having everything figured out, or living without fear, or never stumbling again. Readiness is about maturity. It's about the ability to remain steady in moments that once would have thrown you into chaos. It's about keeping your peace even when everything around you looks uncertain. That calmness, that groundedness is a signal that your soul has expanded. It is the quiet strength that tells you, and everyone else, that you are prepared for more. You can see it in small ways, when gossip no longer rattles you, when delays no longer frustrate you, when doors closing no longer make you feel unworthy. These are not minor shifts, they are signs of growth, because it means you are no longer being controlled by what is outside of you. Instead, you are being guided from within, and that is the mark of true readiness. When your center is stronger than the storm, when your inner peace is no longer dictated by outer circumstances. Many people spend their lives waiting for the storm to pass before they pursue what they want. They wait for the perfect conditions, the perfect timing, the perfect environment. But readiness has nothing to do with the weather outside, and everything to do with the strength inside. If you can stand in the storm and not be moved, then you are already prepared. Because the truth is, life will never become perfectly calm. Storms will come again and again. The question is not whether they arrive. The question is who you will be when they do. Another sign of readiness is clarity. There comes a point when the noise around you begins to fade, and you can hear your own voice again. The distractions that once pulled you in every direction no longer have the same power, because you've learned to focus on what truly matters. You don't waste your time chasing every opportunity, every opinion, every fleeting desire. Instead, you know what aligns with your purpose and what doesn't. That clarity protects your energy, it protects your time, and it ensures that when the blessing comes, you can recognize it without hesitation. Readiness also shows up in resilience. Not resilience as in never falling, but resilience as in rising faster when you do. There was a time when a single setback kept you down for months, even years. But now you recover quicker. You learn the lesson, you adjust, and you keep moving. That speed of recovery, that ability to bounce back, is proof that you have grown. It means life can no longer hold you hostage with the same chains that once bound you. And perhaps the greatest sign of readiness is gratitude in the present moment. When you stop obsessing over what hasn't arrived yet, and you begin to give thanks for where you are now, you shift into alignment with what is coming. Gratitude transforms waiting into joy, preparation into peace, and every step of the journey into purpose. It means you have learned to see the value in the process, not just the outcome. And that shift is what draws the blessing closer. So if you've noticed that storms don't shake you the way they used to, if you found yourself calmer in the face of uncertainty, if you felt more clarity, more resilience, more gratitude, take it as a sign. It means you are not who you once were. It means you are being prepared for what is next. It means you are finally ready. And when you are ready, nothing can stop what is meant to arrive in your life. There is a kind of strength that comes from living with trust, the kind of trust that doesn't need to see the full picture before taking the next step. It is not blind hope. It is a quiet confidence that life is unfolding exactly as it should, even if you don't yet understand it. When you carry that trust, you no longer live chained to fear or to constant worry about what might go wrong. Instead, you begin to move with peace, knowing that every moment is shaping you and every season has meaning. Gratitude is the fuel of that trust. To live in gratitude is to recognize that even in the smallest details, there is something to honor. It is easy to be thankful when the blessing has already arrived, when the doors have opened, when the answers are visible. But true gratitude is practiced in the unseen. It is thanking God before the prayer is answered, celebrating progress even when the destination is still far, appreciating the hidden lessons in the silence. That posture changes everything because it shifts your focus from what you lack to what you already carry. And when you live that way, you stop feeling empty. You stop waiting for the future to fill you. You realize you are already whole, already abundant, already in motion toward what is meant for you. Living in trust and gratitude also teaches you how to handle the in-between spaces of life. There will always be seasons where the blessing has not yet arrived, where the promise feels delayed. Most people grow bitter in those times, impatient, restless, comparing themselves to others who seem further ahead. But gratitude turns those waiting seasons into sacred spaces. It allows you to say, I may not see it yet, but I believe it is coming. I may not hold it yet, but I can already give thanks for it. That kind of faith is magnetic. It pulls blessings closer because you are already living as though they exist. There is also peace in releasing control. We spend so much of our energy trying to dictate how life should unfold, clinging tightly to plans that may not serve us. But when you live in trust, you loosen your grip. You allow what is meant to stay. You allow what is meant to leave. And instead of forcing, you flow. That doesn't mean you stop working or that you abandon effort. It means you put your energy where it matters and let go of the rest. You trust that what is for you cannot pass you by, and what passes you by was never truly for you. That is freedom. Gratitude, when it becomes your natural way of living, creates a sense of abundance even in seasons of lack. It changes your language, your thoughts, your outlook. You stop saying, I'll be happy when, and you start saying, I am grateful now. That shift builds resilience, because no matter what happens, you can still find something worth honoring. And resilience, born from gratitude, keeps you standing when others fall. It keeps you anchored when the winds of life try to pull you off course. When you live in this way, with trust and gratitude intertwined, you begin to see miracles in ordinary days. You notice how a delay that once frustrated you actually protected you. You realize how something you lost made room for something better. You understand that nothing is wasted, not the waiting, not the silence, not the pain. All of it was part of a greater story. And because of that, you no longer fear what's ahead. You know that even when life surprises you, even when it doesn't go according to your plan, it is still working for you, not against you. This is the ultimate preparation for receiving what you've been waiting for. Not anxiety, not striving, but gratitude and trust. Because the one who can give thanks before the blessing arrives is already living in alignment with it. And when you learn to walk with that kind of faith, the blessings that are meant for you cannot help but find their way into your life.